have decided to share with you guys my Reverence altar. This is the upstairs altar that I refer to. Right now I have it fixed up for Samhain, Day of the Dead, Halloween, that time of year when we view the veil as being particularly thin. And I ultimately decided to share this altar with you all because, you know, if any of you walked into my house, or if anyone, period, walked into my apartment, if they came over and they came up here and they saw it, they would see it too. I'm kind of entering a phase in my practice where I feel I have less to hide because I'm giving less and less of a shit about other people's opinions. Just being more open with who I am, and this is part of who I am. This is my spirituality in progress. So I've mentioned before that this is my reverence altar. This is where I honor the all, the great universal consciousness, spirit, the great mystery, whatever you want to call it, existence. It's where I honor my human ancestors, the ancestors in that river of blood that I also flow in, and my non-human ancestors. So right now, let me give you a tour. Let me start maybe on this side and work my way across. So I've mentioned before that I don't normally have any humanoid representations on my altar. That is mostly true. I have removed some very personal items from this altar that I do not wish to share because they are photographs of my family and also a love letter from my husband, so I've removed those. So other than that, the most humanoid representation that I have on my altar would be a tarot card and that skull, that sugar skull. So here I just have the incense that I work with. So here's where I keep my grandmother's tarot cards. This was the card I drew for today. And my shaman's oracle. Here I have my bottle of Florida water, like legit Florida water. I got this at Salem when I went to Salem with my friend when she came to visit me. And I view Florida water as a very important tool. I don't normally have access to it. This is my very first bottle. And I reserve it for very special rituals or even offerings. The other day I did a ritual where I had to take a cleansing bath to kind of wash away some negative memories and bad habits. And I used this Florida water. I sprinkled some on top of this sugar skull as an offering because it is so precious to me, because unless I order it online, it's very hard for me to get. So there's my Florida water. And I also like the idea of using some tools that have a tradition behind them, because as you can see, a lot of things in my altar, they're very abstract symbols, they're not humanoid, and they're very personal to me. So having something like Florida water that's been used for generations and generations in practices like hoodoo, for example, I view that as kind of tapping into that universal consciousness. Like other people have sanctified themselves, have blessed themselves and cleansed themselves and their homes with this Florida water, and that just kind of adds more power to it as a tool for me. Okay, this right here is my crystal grid. I have some pink moonstone and some quartz crystal. These two pieces were actually originally one piece. They were like a little quartz crystal wand, but I accidentally dropped it and broke it. Sorry. So now they're part of the outer circle of my crystal grid. And then I have amethyst, rose quartz, and smoky quartz. And that is for spiritual development, the strength of love, and the strength of grounding. And this is my central point to kind of amplify and spread that out. And now this kind of brings me to the central part. This area of my altar, this is where I honor the season. For example, if it's in the summertime, I'm going to have sunflowers and flowers in a vase in this central part. Right now, it's Samhain season, Halloween season, so this is where I'm honoring death. And let me get down on this level. It seems like I'm adding to this part of my altar every day. So the candles, I have a very dark candle and a more orange colored candle. The dark candle represents death itself. The orange candle represents the river of blood of my ancestors. I really like that image of the river of blood, that we are part of that river. We're born, and then when we die, we go back into that eternal river of ancestral blood. This glass crystal, we call it the crystal, this is from my grandmother. She used to hang this in her window in her home, and I don't know, I mean, she is my ancestor, she has passed on, she died 12 years ago, but I have a very close relationship with her still, and it just seemed right to put this on this part of the altar. I have tried to use it as a pendulum. It didn't really work well for me. I think I need an actual crystal pendulum, which I might invest in here soon once I get paid again. But I think this is going to be better for scrying, honestly. Over here I have my little incense burner. I have this piece of amethyst. This is my favorite piece of amethyst for opening myself up for communication from the ancestors. My crystal skull, my sugar skull that I have blessed with sandalwood essential oil, and I sprinkle the Florida water on it as an offering for death. I have an arrowhead representing kind of the hunting aspect of death. Sometimes you actually have to go out and seek death. Death as in, maybe I'm going out and I'm going to go kill a deer. I'm going to cause the death of another animal, you know, for my survival and the survival of my family. So you have that aspect of hunting and its relationship with death, but also hunting and creating death, or hunting and its relationship with death is being aware that there's some things you need to kill. There's some chapters of your life you need to kill, some relationships you need to kill, some bad habits you need to kill. So like that conscious taking away of life and energy from something, but doing it respectfully, both respecting the thing whose life you're taking away, but also your role as the one taking its life away, I guess, if that makes sense. And I have just this piece of black tourmaline for protection, as I use this amethyst to open myself up. And now these I just added today. I got these from a tree on campus. It recently shed a lot of these. We call these in Kentucky lucky buckeyes, like a buck as in the male deer, and they're supposed to be good luck. But literally it's a seed. So I like putting these, I have two of them, next to the sugar skull, this image of death, reminding us that, and reminding me that you can't have death without life. You can't have life without death. It's a cycle. So life and death. And then just below here I put the death card for the tarot to kind of complete this area. And in this wooden box, I'm kind of using this wooden box as just a platform to kind of elevate this part of my altar, but I also have some of my grandmother's jewelry inside. Now, so I said my grandmother died 12 years ago, but my grandfather actually died in June. And I actually have a few of the bullets from his military salute at his funeral. But I left them in Georgia on the altar of my husband because I was afraid to take those bullet casings with me through the airport. You know, when I was going through security, they would see that I have these bullets, and I just don't want to be arrested by the TSA. So I'm going to leave those in Georgia, but they're on our altar in Georgia because in my husband's apartment down there, he has an altar as well. So whether they're here on this altar or down there in Georgia, it's kind of the same for me. They're being honored. His life is being honored. My grandmother's life is being honored. There you go. This white candlestick and this pot. Okay, those are my representations of the sacred masculine and feminine. This being the sacred masculine, and this being the sacred feminine. So I like having really abstract representations of the sacred masculine and feminine as a reminder for me to remember that they are not inherently connected to a human understanding of gender or gender expression, right? I can have a vagina and still be full of sacred masculine energy, maybe even an imbalance of masculine versus the feminine, as much as a man could, right? A person with a penis, cisgender, transgender, whatever. So I like that abstract aspect of it. However, like I've said in a previous video, I think that I uploaded a few days ago, I can't remember, I am becoming more and more open to working with actual gods and goddesses, understanding them as just representations of certain aspects of the sacred masculine and feminine. So I might start exploring that. I'm actually considering getting some sort of posters or imagery to put up, because I feel like the wall behind my reverence altar up here is very empty. So maybe I'll start working with a specific deity, a male deity that seems to be calling me at this moment. I'll put him over here, and then a female deity on this side, because this is a representation of the sacred feminine. For one thing, it's made of earth, it's clay. For another thing, it's a vessel, something that holds something, like the womb, the uterus, right? And plus, a very dear friend of ours in Chile gave this to me for my birthday, and it's actually a traditional watering vessel, or a vessel that her indigenous tribe would make to carry water and drink water from. So that's very special. Now, over here, this is where I honor the non-human ancestors. These are fossils. These are called pentramites. They're plus or minus 300 million years old, so they're older than the dinosaurs. And they lived in the ocean. So we all come from the ocean. Life comes from that energy of water. So I have all of these around here are pentramites, and this is a fossilized, or I don't know if this is fossilized or just a dried piece of coral, because I don't remember where I got this. But again, that idea of the ancient ancestors in the ocean, that all life on Earth, as far as we know, comes from the ocean. So that unifying kind of a pantheistic view of the sacredness of life, I guess. And here I have this champagne flute with more water. And inside, I don't know if you can tell, I have a quartz crystal. This is kind of the crystal that I dedicate my needs, my wishes, my petitions. That's like my petition crystal. I worked with it very heavily on the night of the lunar eclipse. I asked the moon, well, I gave offerings, but I also asked the energies of that night for very specific petitions to protect some relatives, to bless me and my husband, and all sorts of stuff. So I put that in the water because I feel like the champagne fluid itself is made of crystal. It's filled with blessed water, and so it just kind of amplifies and gives life to my petitions. And here is just some Palo Santo and some salt and an owl feather that I found in Georgia. So that is a very long tour of my Reverence altar upstairs. So thanks everybody for watching. Bye.